So in this tutorial we're going to be using 0.3 wire, which is the American 28, and 18 gauge or 1mm wire. The amount we use of this will, thinner weaving wire, will depend on, well, it will depend on a lot of things. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now I'm going to be doing a larger version of this Christmas tree. The reason being, one, for the camera so that you guys can see it clearly. Also just because it's easier for me from the point of dexterity. But if you are going to be making this as a pendant, I am going to be using these particular pliers, which are quite thick, to create the edge and the right angles. However, if you are going to be using this as a pendant, I would suggest using a thinner pair, again, that you can create those right angles with, but that are going to be sufficiently smaller so that you can get tighter angles and not have to go as big as you would do with this pair. But like I say, so what I'm going to be doing is, technically you could still wear it as a pendant, but it's probably going to be classed more as a decoration. You know, you could put this on a Christmas tree as part of a decoration, as an ornament if you so chose. But the tutorial itself, if you modify it a little bit, you can wear it as just a pendant. So I'm going to put this in the title. I haven't decided exactly on the title yet. You obviously know what the title is now, but I don't. So it'll probably be, you know, Christmas tree pendant or Christmas tree ornament / pendant, or, you know, just something along those lines. So yeah, I'm going to take 50 centimeters of my 1mm wire to begin with. You don't need to straighten it out completely, but do try and get it so that you've warmed it a little bit and it's not as it's not coiling like it would do off the reel normally. And cut. Take this to the side. I don't think I'm actually going to need any more of that, so just heads up, you want to find the halfway point and you want to create that right angle just there. Now I'm not going to sharpen this. I've done this same tutorial a few times now. I mean, you guys don't see how many times I play around and create the tutorial and test different techniques out, but I kept trying to make it sharper and it really just distorted the way it looked and it didn't look right. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have it like this. We can tell it's a point, but it's not, you know, normally other times I've got in and I've squeezed it and then pulled it out. Really didn't seem to work or look right for this particular tutorial, so I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to go in at exactly the point where the pliers are and create another angle, and I'm going to do the same on the other side and pull it over. So we've started to create a triangle. I'm just going to sharpen this up a little bit. All I'm doing is pulling the wire so that it sharpens. So we've got what will be the first layer of the Christmas tree. Now I'm going to go in with a thinner pair of pliers and I'm going to hold it at the middle point and making that side down and out. Same on the other side. And we are going to wrap together this point here. With the millimeter wires, your thin weaving wire. I'm just going to take about 10 centimeters of that. I won't need that much, I just want it for security. I always say whichever side is free. Now a few times when I did this at the beginning, I kept having this wire at the front, and when it came to wrapping this I was like, oh, that I've done it again. So I purposely put this side at the front, so when I'm wrapping this is the open side, and I'll end up doing the loose loops on this one. It's up to you if you start in the corner and just do single loops until they join. Again, that's entirely up to you guys. I'm just going to anchor it by doing a couple of wraps. I'm going to bring those together. Now this is just connecting, weaving two base wires together. I do have a video on that. I do mention it every time I'm doing a tutorial like this, that if you want to do a particular style you can. The whole point of this is just that we're going to be connecting these two together, and we don't want it to be, if you've ever seen a Christmas tree shape, it goes like this, you know, the ones that they draw, they go like this, in, out, and it kind of goes in a little bit and then out further. That shape So that's what we're trying to create here. So instead of doing it all the way along, you know, we could have just attached it and then gone out another level, which was again another one of the tests I did, and it didn't look as right as a Christmas tree. It did look good as another thing that I think I might turn into another tutorial, but that's not important right now. So just going to go back on this single layer. Wrap. Connect the two again. Go through. And again, you can use any wrap you want at this point. You don't have to copy me. The whole point is just that we're connecting these wires together. That's it. And if you so choose, if you don't have enough room here to do another two, you could just carry on the other side. I'm just going to finish on this side that I've been doing the weaving on so far. But you could easily swap sides and just do the wrapping. You know, if you decided to wrap all of those as single loops, you could just continue there. There's an option available to you. But I'm just going to cut these off at this point. I'm going to cut that one. Oops, don't lose the wire. There we are. So there we have our first layer, and now we're going to create our second layer. Now it's up to you how long you want this layer to be, and more importantly how steep you want the gradient to be. Just try and get it as symmetrical as you can. I'm going to try and do two of these. Oops, I just did it again. Oh no, I did it right actually this time. Silly me. That's what happens when I don't pay attention. So 1, 2, and then across. So this side's at the front again, which is my comfortable wrapping side. Now I'm going to put that one there and that one there. So we're creating this gradient of coming in slightly, going down, coming in slightly, and then we'll go further out. So now we just want to connect those together again. Again, taking our weaving wire. It doesn't matter what wrap you use. I would suggest whatever one you did for the top, just mimic it if you can. But again, it's not hugely important. If this is going to be a Christmas tree decoration, obviously it's what we've put in these sections that are going to get noticed. That's also important. If you did a Christmas tree without sort of creating these sections, the wire would be able to slip. Anything you put in these sections would be able to move. It wouldn't really be quite definite. Again, I found this out by testing lots of different styles of Christmas trees. I'm a Christmas baby, so I do quite enjoy Christmas. So I really wanted to do something that was quite cute, and you know, Christmas trees are symbolic for a lot of different faiths, you know, Yule and other faiths such as, so I like the idea of doing a tree, and it doesn't have to be a Christmas tree. You know, this is technically an evergreen tree. You could do this in a different colour, you could do it in green and just have it as a tree, you know, it's up to you guys, but just thought I'd mention that as to why we're doing it this way. So go through again, and I'm just going to do the same 2-2 wrap here that I did on the first layer. Make sure you don't do it too tight as to cut in between the layers. I say that because I noticed I had done. Don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do. There we go. And just continue along the full length. We have our 2 layers done now. Careful of the wire. I just thought I would measure this for you guys. So it's just 2 centimeters that I started the in point, and that one's just under 1 centimeter. So in theory, the next one we should go for 3 centimeters. Again, the gradient is also incredibly important. If you don't know, mathsy term, gradient just means how steep. So whether we have the tree, coming this far or this far, that's basically gradient. So I'm going to go for about there, and I'm going to check the diffuse end I need to what's there. Again, you don't have to be precise, do it by eye if you so choose, because again, depending how steep you make this, again, gradient will impact it. There we have it. And then we want to decide. Now, this obviously is quite obviously a Christmas tree. You could do a 4th layer if you so chose, and again, that's personally up to you guys. I, however, am not going to this time. I'm going to put my pliers in at what will be the middle point, and I'm going to bring them down as steep as I can, and that is going to be our tree trunk. So we're only going to need to wrap across here instead of doing the full section. So that's what we're going to do now, again connecting 2 base wires. And it's entirely up to you guys what we're going to do in this section, but I'm going to include some beads. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to do the same wrap we've done here, the 2-2, to connect those bits. So just take a length of weaving wire. I've been taking between 10 and 20 centimeters. I think I took 10 for that one, 20 for that, and probably that's about the same length, so I'm probably only going to need 10 again. This is the front, so I'm going to anchor to this wire and do it over here where it's easier to get to. Don't forget you can do more anchor wires and cut it later, so you've seen me do a few times in this video, so no need to worry about that. We're just going to bring this around to where it will start, and we're going to go over. And we want our wires to sit next to each other, so don't be too tight on the tension, but tight enough that obviously they're going to be well connected and not going to move. And then we're going to go back in between, do 2 single loops on this wire, back over the 2, and again we're just going to continue that for this length to here. So I'll fast forward this bit again. Okay, so now we have this as our tree frame. It's up to you how close you want these to be together. You can still manoeuvre them. You might have noticed them slipping a little bit. It's this point that we're going to be securing them at, so just be aware of that. It's what we do next that keeps them in place better. I don't know why I keep using that accent, I apologise guys. Is everyone happy about Christmas coming up, or the holidays, whatever you celebrate? Anyone got any fun plans, anything exciting going on? I'm going to be turning 27, which I know in the grand scheme of things is nothing, like when you live to like 80 odd usually, but it's still a little bit scary, I have to admit. But I am looking forward to Christmas. I've completely spoilt my family and I've overspent like crazy as the Christmas period is coming up. I'm just trying to decide which beads I want to put in between. I really want to do some square looking ones to go down. These are centre drilled, I thought they weren't, so that would make them diamonds. Although I've got nothing against them, I might use them still. I'm just going to see what else I've got in my little pot. Got some octagons here, they're quite cute. I really want to go for sort of a darker colour, because obviously this would be the brown of the tree, the green's probably a better for here. But I've got loads of different ones, you know, I've got some, these are all just quartz that has been dyed. These ones are called crackle quartz, and then I've just got some, you know, nice coloured ones, just slightly different. You know, I love these green dyed quartz, I think they're so beautiful. They look a lot like chrome dioxide. Now obviously they're not, and they're a lot cheaper, but they look so the same. I love that deep green, and especially obviously because we're doing a Christmas tree, I just think these are perfect. Also another thing I am going to say is if you go to like the pound shop or the dollar store, you can get like tinsel that's like really thin, and that would be ideal for one of these, for, you know, just once we put wire in between, like just being able to slot in between and weave it in and out, like that would be gorgeous and perfect. I've been able to get out to get some, but that is something that I would love to see on one of these, so I'm just giving you a heads up on that one. I think I'm going to use these little octagons as my shape because I want a dark colour for what will be the trunk basically. So I'm just going to move these to the sides. We're going to take up our weaving wire. I'm going to take, I always say 40 centimetres, but we're probably going to use more than that. But that's just to begin with. Now because we're going to be weaving back and forth, doesn't really matter which wire you start on. So I'm going to anchor to this bottom one. Actually, no, this one's more visible. It depends which side you go to. Whichever side's the front and visible, go on that one. So I'm going to go over here. Just so that we're covering over that last little bit. So if you don't celebrate Christmas, what do you guys celebrate? Let me know. You know, I was thinking about doing some other religious things, or well, not necessarily religious, obviously some people don't really celebrate anything, but I was looking at different festivals, holidays. I'm going to be doing a candle because I know that Hanukkah has candles. Is it Diwali? Is that the other one? Sorry if I'm wrong there guys, but Hinduism, they have that one. Who else was there? Anyway, there was quite a, is it Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa had candles represented as well. So it's like obviously from the point of view of multiculturalism, I thought a candle would be nice, and even if, you know, you're not any form of faith, you know, who doesn't love a good candle? They're all cute. So I'm going to do a candle as well. Oh, I didn't even say what wrap I'm doing here, did I? God, there's me chatting away. I'm just going to do 5 to 1. The reason being that when we put in our little beads, they need space. So I'm just going to put on my first little bead here. And I'm going to aim to do this for 3 centimetres down, but it's up to you guys. I mean, I always say this. you can change these tutorials as much as you want. I just like to give you the ideas, and I'd love to see, you know, what you guys make from them, what you think would look better. So let's just pull that tight. Now these are still going to be able to slip. The wires themselves, you should notice now, aren't here. These ones obviously still can, so just be aware of that when you are wrapping, you know, be aware of your tension. The reason why I'm doing more wraps on a single wire rather than just going 1-1 is because of the size of the beads I am using. If I wasn't using these, I would just have done a 1-1 all the way down, and I probably would have put it obviously closer because it wouldn't have needed to be this far apart. So that's something to bear in mind as well. If you use, obviously you're probably going to be using different beads. The one I'm using is 6x8mm. Is it hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is hexagon, right? I'm sorry, I'm not great on shapes. I have brain fog. Hopefully I got that right, guys. 4, 5. I'm going to come back over. Back again, and you always want to do it on the side where it will sit on the front. So that's also why we chose which side was the front earlier when we did the wraps here. That was an important part of this, because you don't want to see, if I swap sides and did that one, the wire goes behind there, so the bead would have sat at the back. So you really want to pick which side is your front and wrap it there. 3, 4, 5. So I know a lot of people who watch this channel have chronic illnesses like myself, or disabilities of some form. I hope you're all doing okay in winter. I have to say, I had to take a couple of weeks off filming myself. You might have noticed the absence of updates on my channel because I was just ill. Nothing more than that really. I just couldn't even move. My limbs were like lead, and even the simplest of things was just impossible, and like my glands are up, and I think I caught a virus as well as just being generally unwell though. So I didn't update for a while, but I know winter can be tough for a lot of different kind of illnesses. I know my friend has lupus, and she says that summer's the worst for her, but a lot of people I know with chronic illnesses say that winter's the worst, and it's to do with the cold and the damp and the way it affects your body. So just a top tip from me is to get a dehumidifier in your room, like mine's on right now. Like I just have it on all the time, and I definitely, since I've got it, I've noticed a difference. Oh, and one of those Himalayan salt lamps are meant to be really good. I did have one, but I kind of melted it a little bit on plastic. Don't even ask me how I did it, I don't even know. It was the base, it was on wood, and then I somehow put it on plastic. Yeah, anyway, but apparently that would have been able to help a little bit. I know. Might try it again in the new year, who knows. But yeah, I hope if, you know, you are unwell and you're dealing with winter, guys, you know, I'm sending my love to you all. Okay, this is obviously going to be a bit longer than 3 centimetres by the time I'm done, but 3 beads, let's call it that way. 3 beads rather than 3 centimetres. So we're going to do our 5, and then we're going to wrap on another bead, and then that'll be it for our tree trunk. I was advised to put this as an intermediate tutorial, because obviously there's a bit more wrapping in it than normal. Let me know what you guys think, because I think when you've been doing it for so long, like, I think your idea of what like a beginner's tutorial is kind of gets skewed. So you guys let me know like what you consider beginners, intermediate, advanced, because I mean, advanced to me is where you're using like multiple different techniques, multiple different weaves, you're incorporating different styles, you might even be using different mediums. Like, that's what I think of as advanced. Intermediate, generally I think anything, I mean, probably like this, yeah, you are doing multiple weaves, you're having to use multiple tools, that's kind of that. And then beginners to me is basically, you know, you're just creating easy shapes, and then maybe just doing one, maybe two weaves. Like, to me, that's what it is. But you guys let me know, because if I've been labelling these wrong, I want to know now, because my channel's still only in the early stages, you know. I just hit 350 subscribers. Thank you so much everyone who subscribed so far. I love you all so much. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and there's a little notification button that will let you know if you want it. It's like a little bell near the subscribe button. It tells you whenever I upload, so you get to know first, which yeah, helps. Especially if you're like me and incredibly forgetful, and even if eBay even emails you, you just don't even notice. Whereas if it's got like an obnoxious little number there all the time, you're like, what's that? And then you will probably end up watching it. Yes, so just let me know what you guys think of what you consider, you know, beginner, intermediate, advanced, because I really want to obviously grow the channel more, help more people, show more spoonies that they are capable of, you know, making amazing things and doing amazing things. Okay, so now we're at the end. We're just going to finish off this wire. Make sure you've done your 5. I can't actually even see at this angle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do a 5th. 5. And then cut. Dig our pliers. Squish it, and then you want to kind of pull these up as much as you can. And now we are going to create what would be the little basket. So you really want to go in with, you know, one of your thinner pair of pliers. I'm going to be using the needle nose for this part, because I want this sharper, and obviously if I tried to put these pliers in here I wouldn't be able to, it'd be quite a bit down, so that's why we're using those. Also why I suggested using these if you're going to be doing this for the pendant version. Okay, I'm just going to trim that off there. I didn't even realise I hadn't cut that yet. Oh, sorry guys, I'm shaking a little bit. And then we want, if you're in a pot, usually it kind of like goes in and then has a flat bottom. That's what we're aiming for. So 1 1/2, 1 1/2. There we go for them. And decide on the gradient. Assume that that is my new favourite word, I keep saying it. Oops. And then it's entirely up to you guys if you want to just, you know, do along and do a loop, do along, do a loop. That's probably what I'm going to do, but if you so chose, you know, you could actually bring these wires up and put them as decoration in between here. I'm going to be doing that on a different tutorial, so I don't really want to be repeating myself. So for here, what I'm going to do is put my round nose pliers in and create the loop. I'm just going to pull the wire as tight as I can and then cut. Okay, let me just get in there. Cut. Close. And the same on the other side. Where that would begin is here, so Again, I'm just going to pull that, go in, cut those, and then we are just going to weave along this bottom section like so, connecting two base wires. Use whatever weave you want. We've used 2-2 here on these ones, we've used 5-1 here, so let's use what should we use? 3-3. Let's use a 3-3 here. So the side that is open, there we go, let's just bring that one to the front and then I can go over that one. I'm going to take a length of wire, I'm going to take 40 centimetres, I'm probably going to not use that full amount, but for this it is important that we have enough, and I'm going to anchor it, yeah, I'm just going to pull this forward to anchor it so that I'm not having to fight it. If you can avoid fighting wire, do. Okay, so that's 3 and we're going to move those right along there. Move this back. And we're probably going to need to go in between where that little circle is. So 1, sorry, I'm cluttering up the desk here. You guys need to be able to see the background, don't you? Well, I think the less cluttered the background is, the better it is for the camera to focus, so that's kind of what I mean. 3, and then over this, back over this one again, 2, 3, and then over both of them with 3, and we're just going to continue that along until we get to the end. Okay then guys, so we've done that, we're just going to trim this bit off here. Now I always tell you, if you've heard me talk about it in previous tutorials, I always say best way to wrap is to wrap from a thinner area to a wider area so that the wire doesn't slip. So for the plant pot we're going to go up, and if we decide to do anything in these sections we're obviously going to go the opposite way. Now hint hint, I think you should do something in this section because it's a Christmas tree and they're a little bit decorative. So make sure you're on the side which will be the front. I still have some wire left on this, so I'm just gonna do some wraps until I get to what will be the beginning of here. And then we're just gonna start incorporating some beads, and it's up to you how you do that. You know, if you want to just use wire, just use wire. Don't think that you need to follow this entirely. What I am going to do is I'm going to be going back and forth. The reason being that I want this to go over that little loop, so I'm just going to do that there. I'm going to do these wraps here. I'm just going to do a few because I want the base covered to the end, and I want to go back and forth on the wraps so that I can switch sides that I thread the beads on. So if you've seen the connecting two base wires I mentioned, I think it's called a figure of 8 weave, so that's what we're doing. You go through to the opposite side and wrap over, and then I'm not going to do extra loops there, but further up we will. You come down and we go over, over, come back, come over here, and it's up to you how many loops you do or don't do here. But that's the wrap I'm going to be doing, the figure of 8, but I'm going to do more anchor wraps so it won't just be one straight over, one straight over. I'm going to do a few wraps on the frame. So I'm just going to move these down so they come part of the bottom part of the frame. I'm going to cut here and then I'm going to attach fresh wire. So basically that just became the bottom of our frame, or part of that. And then from this point forward is where I'm going to add in decoration. So I'm going to take another length of the weaving wire. Again, I'm just going to take the amount I'm comfortable with. To do this amount, I'm probably going to need 2-3 meters of weaving wire because of the length between here. So that's something to be aware of. I just did the last loops there, so I'm going to do more on this side. So I'm just going to do my anchor wraps. Okay, and then I'm going to push it down, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Okay, now we're going to bring it over the front. Hold it down. It can still slip, just be aware of that, even though you're going from thinner to thicker. It slips less. So it is easier, but it can still slip. So at this point I think I'm going to chuck on a few beads. Now I'm not going to do them like so they take up the whole length. I'm just going to put a few random ones on that I have here at the moment. It's up to you what you do or don't put on here at this point. Use whatever you've got to hand. Don't feel like you need to go out and buy new. You know, if you've got some plastic beads, use those. If you've got smaller seed beads, you know, use them. If you've got bigger, whatever you've got, guys, just use what you have. Don't feel like you need to go out and buy more. Okay, and okay, having a 3 here is too much, so I'm just going to put the 2 on here. They're going to be able to slide around, so I might put a small bead on in between. I've got a little orange one here, so I'll put that on. I'm just using any random beads that I have. And you guys can be more precise with this if you want and make sure they match and make it all pretty like a lot of people do with some Christmas trees. You know, they have a set theme for colour. You guys can do that if you so choose. Don't think that you have to, again, follow me. I am just literally using beads that I have in a little pot next to me. I'm not doing a colour scheme. The only thing I want is some green where the tree is and some browny black where the trunk is. That's the height of my thought process on the colour scheme, and it's up to you lot what you so choose to do after that. Now, because on the last layer we put beads on, we're not going to for another couple of layers. Keep pushing them down. I always end up seeming to do 5. I'm not quite sure why. I have no plans of doing this another 5. Let's do 4. Let's change it up a bit. Let's have a different number. Okay, keep bringing that wire down. One, 2, 3, 4. Switch sides. Figure of 8. Or again. I'm going to come over to the other side and attach them on the opposite end this time because I think I put them on that side last time. So we'll do 4 here and then add some more beads. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I have 3 beads next to me, so these are going to get used. Okay guys, and then we're just gonna do the same all the way up until we reach the top. So I carried on a little bit from before the camera did die and the battery went, so all that I've done is just continued on and added another layer here. I also made a point of, on the back, bringing these down so that they kind of form backing for the beads to sit on, because they do want to move around. I'm just going to finish off up here, and I would suggest that you guys wrap along here. I'm not going to do that for the sake of the video, just because we'll be here for ages doing single wraps, and you guys know how to do a single wrap. So I'm just going to finish at the top of the, what is going to be the what's it called, the plant pot. I couldn't remember the name then at all. It's been a few hours in my world since I filmed, and I tried to rest, but unfortunately, sorry, I'm yawning. Try that again. It's been a few hours since I filmed last, and I tried to rest, but unfortunately I couldn't. But I really wanted to get this up for tomorrow, so I am making sure this is finished so that you guys are not missing out on another week's worth of tutorials. Because if you have been so kind as to subscribe to me, then I'll do what I can to make sure that we keep getting videos up for everyone. So there we are at the top, and like I say, I just used the rest of the wire to wrap along here, and then again here, and then meet at the points where those were. I'm not going to do that now, but that's what you guys should do. Now we've got these 3 bits here, and I would suggest decorating them. Now you could do what we have done here and wrap up and add beads, and like I suggested before, adding tinsel, but there is something else you can do which is quicker, and if you have dexterity and ill health and you just want to finish it quickly and make it a bit easier on yourself, then you're probably going to prefer this way. So cut any length, it doesn't really matter, you're just going to try and make the things fit. So to start with, I'm just going to create a shape, and then I'm going to coil pair of round nose pliers, cut off the straight edge, and then coil, coil, coil. Same on the other side. These won't be the same sizes, won't be symmetrical because I didn't do it exactly the halfway point. But that's one for you. Then I'm going to go here, do the same thing again, but I'm doing it with pliers this time. And I'm gonna go the opposite way around this time. Cut off the straight bit. Go back in with my pliers. Okay, I completely messed that up. Okay, there we go, going with pliers. And then start coiling it. I'm not doing it perfectly, I am doing it very rough, just basically messing around. And this one I'm going to do forward. Okay, so we've got one going that way, one going that way, and then the other thing, I don't know if I've shown these in a previous tutorial. I mean, I feel like I must have done at some point because they're like an easy thing to do, but with my memory I can't actually recall if I have or haven't. So basically we're going to be creating what's called an S scroll. Or if you want to do it as a C scroll you can. Because of the way the wire bends, I'm doing it the same way, but then I'll change it into an S in a moment. Cut that off. Bend, bend. Okay, twist one the other way. And bring them together, creating an S. And what we're going to do, quite simply, is put the shapes into our Christmas tree, and then we're going to wrap them in place. So that one's a bit too big, which means that one will be, let's go with this S. So this S fits quite nicely here, which means if I did another small S and then something elsewhere, or I could make this smaller just by making the coils tighter and bringing it in. So there we have a smaller S, and we could fit that in there. We could also put it on top so that it doesn't have to fit exactly, and we can give it a bit more depth, like a 3D shape. Basically that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to I didn't hit the camera. So we've got an S, we've got a random shape, let's do another S. I suppose that could kind of look a bit like a love heart as well if you wanted it to. Remember, if you are doing these as pendants, you really want to close, if someone's going to be wearing this against the skin, make sure these are closed up properly. File them if you can as well, just make sure that there's no sharp edges. Like I said at the beginning, this, because of the size, will be more suitable for a tree decoration ornament. Obviously this is, I mean obviously you can't see, I don't know why I keep saying that, because it's not obvious to you at all. Let me get my trusted measure here. So from top to bottom, that is 13 centimetres, so obviously you're not going to wear that as a pendant, unless you're into something, into very big jewellery, but generally people aren't as pendants, they like them smaller. So my size is more suited for a ornament. And then it will be as simple as, once we've got enough, I'm not going to finish it right now because cutting them out and doing all that would take quite a while of filming. I'm just going to show you what we'll do. So say we've decided we've got enough, we've filled the air in, we've decided what we're going to do. We would, in the same way we always do, anchor the wire to the frame. I always like to leave quite a bit of a tail at this point as well, because sometimes when I attach things later I might decide, oh, it might be useful to, you know, use that bit there that's extra from earlier. So then I'll put this S here. I'm gonna have it go slightly over the top. I want it to attach kind of at the corner area. So that's what I'm going to do. here. I'm going to go back on the base wire here. I'm not doing these tight because I don't need to, but you can if you so choose. And then I'm going to come back up over here and attach that section there as well. And then I've got this extra bit of tail, so whatever I decided to put in the next area I could. So we've got this S here, and then I might decide to put, actually I'd probably have that go up the corner a bit more, and then say the next coil, we use the love heart, so I want the love heart here, so then I would attach it with the S and on the base of the frame. So because we've got this bit of wire here, we'll just wrap this around. You could do this perfectly, doing, you know, single wraps tightly along, and that would probably be the best aesthetically pleasing way to do it. But this is just a rough guide to you guys. Okay, so then we've attached it there, and we're going to attach it back on the frame some more, and then you just use more wire for attaching it over points later. I can't pick up that little bit of wire there. Right, okay. And then we'd attach here as well and attach that up there. There's a bit of wire still here, so I'm going to use that bit of wire there. Probably the best place is where it's closest, so I'll come through here. And then put it back just on that base wire, tuck it underneath. Okay. Let's trim that there. And then we would use some wire to connect these two together. And what you can also do in these spaces, which is what I was getting to the point of, so say we put that there, and then we'll have another coil scroll thing somewhere else. So we wanted this here, and then we could cut all that off. You could also just use an ordinary coil if you wanted to. Again, better if that's for a decoration rather than for if someone's wearing it. Let's just do that there. So we put that in, we've got this one here, we're going to have this one for up here, blah blah blah. We're going to wrap all those in, and then we might pick some beads that we want to put in, so we could put the green one there, some of the small ones, you know, in between different colours, so like you would with baubles, you might want to match the colours. So it's just something to consider. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach these scroll type things in place, and then I'm also going to attach some beads on as well. I'm going to fast forward it so that you guys, you know, it would take forever if you watched it at normal speed, but that's just something you should consider to give it that little bit of decoration and a little bit more detail. And like I say, you could use any of these, you can make your own up. I'm just doing some quick ones for the sake of the tutorial. But again, you could have just wrapped it completely all the way up and done the whole thing like that. These are just different options for you to do at the different points. Okay, so once that's done, you know, add your beads in as and where you want. That's just entirely up to you. I just stuck a few on to give you an idea. You just put them, you know, if there's like noticeable gaps, just stick a couple of beads in and it's all good. So that's one option for filling that space up. The other one obviously is wire wrapping like we did down here, but instead of adding beads in, just doing it without any beads. That's what I'm going to do here. And all it technically is just connecting two base wires together. You start from the thinnest area and work that way, so we're going to turn it around. You obviously anchor it to whichever side you want and then pick whichever weave you want. So I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to do 1-1 here, the reason being that it's a really easy weave for people to follow, and I use it in a lot of different tutorials. That's it really. So we've done our anchor wrap, and then we're going to go over to the other side. We're going to wrap over once and then we go back. Make sure you're pulling it tight. Like I say, that it can still slip. It slips a lot less doing it this way, but just be aware of your wrapping. So over, come to the other side. Make sure you're not going over the wire you just did, which is also easily done. Okay, we've gone over there, we're going straight over to the other side. Again, making sure I'm not going over any previous wraps. Go around. I'm just going to continue this for this whole section. Okay guys, so I'm just going to finish it there, as I'm sure you get the idea. You just do that last bit there, rather than me cutting another length. I'm just going to leave it at that, and then we're just going to do our final layer. Now it's up to you what you do here. You could put a bead in its place. I do have some perfect ones that fit exactly in it, so I think that's what I'm going to do. But you could just as easily, you know, do the scrolls or just wrap it or do whatever you want. Now before I attach this in place, what I'm going to do is, if you're going to just attach this like this, you'd just create a simple jump ring. So using our 1mm wire, we will make a simple jump ring. This is just option 1. So I've done many tutorials where I've made jump rings. So I think I've been making your own findings, and I think one of them was making your own jump rings. Just I'll link that below. Okay, so we've got our jump ring, and we would attach that here, and then we could put some ribbon through it and hang it off something. That's another option. Oh, that was what I was going to say earlier and I almost forgot. When I mentioned tinsel, you could also use ribbon, because I'm assuming as a crafter you probably have ribbon around. You know, you could weave some ribbon in between here or in between or around as the basket detail rather than using beads. You could tie a little bow at the front over the wrapping, or even without the wrapping. You know, you could have done scrolls and then put that over. Just something to consider. But what else you can do is, I'm just going to cut off this bit here, so it's still got a bit of a curve there. And we're going to use that same size to create that. And then I'm going to use a thinner one to pull that up. Then I'm going to cut this here and I'm going to put a bead on it. I would, had I them to hand, I'd put a star probably, but I don't have one right now, but I do have these beads here, so I'm going to use one of these. Okay, and then we'll use that smaller half to hold the tree, and then the tree has a bead on top there, but we're a star or something obviously, then you know, gives it that little bit of extra detail for you guys. So, and then you can hang it up as an ornament. But like I say, I'm just going to finish this by putting this bead in the top. Now I'm just going to take a length of wire, 10 centimeters. Again, probably more than I need, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to anchor it to this bit of wire here. I'm going to pull that as tight as I can and just thread it through some more. I always use a bit more wire here because then I get leverage on the wire and it's not as painful in my joints then having to fight with it. You've probably noticed a few times I grab my pliers. If ever I'm having difficulty, this is part of the reason why. Okay, I'm just going to cut that bit of wire at the bottom off. Okay. Okay, and there we have our Wirework tree ornament slash pendant if you've done it to the smaller size. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Let me know your thoughts about it. Don't forget I have a Facebook group if anyone's interested in joining that. I will link that in the description box below. If you could hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, that would be a major help to me. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely Christmas time or holiday season wherever you are and whatever you celebrate, and I hope to see you all again soon. Love yous, bye.